Shannon Sharpe leaving, Undisputed, a buyout, all kind of stuff, all kind of rumors happening. We were here with Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk talking about this. Sports media and the media landscape fascinates me. If you do not know, I broadcast journalism major. My plan when I was a youth was to go into sports radio. That was the goal. The goal was to be Jim Rome or Colin Cowherd or whoever and do that. So I've always been fascinated by the landscape of media, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or ESPN or cable or whatever. So I don't watch Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, but these kind of things I think are very, very interesting. So we will listen to Pat and AJ talk about this. We'll react. I can't wait.
Is potentially on the move. Now, we will miss Shannon Sharpe with Skip Bayless. Okay? All of us will.
Sure.
No. I won't miss it.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I'm saying I won't miss it.
How come?
What are you talking about? What is it even? You
Great
won't?
TV.
Skip and Shannon, they go so well together.
Skip is an asshole.
Bingo, which is why.
I won't miss it at all. And I think this style of sports media is going away. The whole man, I forgot what they call it. Man, I can't believe I just forgot this. But the guy who put together I think his name is Jamie. I believe his name is Jamie. He left ESPN, went to Fox Sports, looked that up. I believe his first name is Jamie. But he created Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless's screaming at each other, the dynamic. And when First Take exploded, then everyone copied it. Everyone wanted to have the two talking heads going back and forth at each other, kind of simulating this argument, debate, embrace debate. That's the name of it. Embrace debate was the philosophy where that's what sports media became. And it basically became just a hot take factory of one guy takes an insane take and the other guy debates it and they just scream at each other. It kind of existed with Mike Francesa and Chris Russo back in the day with Mad Dog on the mic, but I digress. But I think that's over. I think people don't want that anymore. I think people want that to me is going to go the way of daytime television. It's going to go the way of Jerry Springer and those kind of shows and may God rest his soul. But at one point, that was the biggest stuff on TV, was that shocking daytime television, the judge shows, the jury shows, all the wild stories, the mayhem. There is still an audience for that, but it's nowhere near what it was. And I think the embrace debate is the same. What I think people want now is more of legitimate sports talk. They want that legitimate inside information into teams, players, games, analysis, stuff like that. The sports has become different now with gambling, fantasy football, all of that. People want to know what's going on. It's impossible to throw hot takes out there because there's so much data. There's so much information. People know too much. So when you say something crazy, like for example, the whole Nikola Jokic MVP situation, where him being left off of Mark Jackson's ballot. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you could have a hot take and be like, Jokic isn't one of the top 5 players in the NBA. Now, there's too many analytics, there's too many eyeballs, there's too much happening. That hot take would never fly. It would never exist. So I wouldn't miss it at all. I know exactly what Pac-Man's saying.
About Shannon.
Bingo.
Another asshole. No,
Whoa,
I love
Pac-Man.
Shannon. No, I'm joking.
No,
Shannon is my dude, but I won't miss Skip, bro. I talk to Shannon, but ain't gonna miss Skip.
Yeah, I
Skip
think
gonna miss Shannon.
there's been a lot of people that have kind of come to that same conclusion where they're like, hey, Skip has had a really long run. I don't know if anybody said this, an incredible run.
Great run.
Yeah, for sure.
Changed sports media forever.
100%.
Actually, and I think he probably understands that and knows that. But a lot of people think at this stage of the game, with how great Shannon was on that particular program, which is why I will miss it, because watching Skip get a chance with Shannon, that's good. Shannon's great. So it's a good adversary partner work, which we didn't know what it was. A lot of people are saying that Skip might, This might be the
fade off.
I would never say that.
Never.
I would never say that about Skip
People
Bayless.
are saying that
People
on the
are
internet.
saying that though, and I don't think they understand the power of Skip Bayless.
Yes.
I don't think they understand. Skip Bayless will find a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Skip Bayless will.
He can find his cheese.
Well, he will continue to do his thing. But Shannon being available is that's a narrative shifter for a place. That's a potential massive asset to a platform that maybe wants to launch. Which
This is another reason I think Shannon left. This is another avenue with how media is now. So you see this a lot with Barstool. Okay, so back in the day, when you got on a show like Skip and Shannon, or if you joined Barstool, that was it, right? You're on that show then. You're going to try and make that show great. You're going to try and bring that show up. You're going to try and do whatever. Now, there's so many avenues for the individual. So if you're Shannon, right? Shannon, I'm sure, has made a ton of money on his contracts with the show. So now, and I'm sure has built a huge fan base. So now Shannon, he could start his own YouTube channel. He could start his own show. He could stream. He could do whatever he wants. He could start his own production. You know, he do basically what Pat McAfee's doing. He could do Club Shay Shay is a thing. He could do all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, I don't have to worry about Skip Bayless. I can do whatever on my own time. People are moving to that. And why I brought up Barstool is because that's what's happening to Barstool. They're getting these people in, and then the person makes their own individual kind of thing, and then they just jump ship. And then they just go stream, or they go do a YouTube channel, or they go do their own stuff on Twitter. Or once you create that audience, you're good to go. Once you get that audience going, the domino effect is there, and you can basically do whatever you want. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Shannon is saying, you know what, not worth it. And I think we've seen Skip and Shannon's relationship kind of fall apart over the last year or so, to where it just, doesn't look like Shannon's having a very good time. A whole lot of apologies have been happening from Skip. So to me, makes perfect sense.
As experiencing the space a little bit from a business standpoint a few months back, there's a lot of places that are trying to get into the sports media world. There's a lot of places that are trying to launch their thing who have rights to stuff either in the future or planning on getting rights, but a lot of money behind them.
Hell yeah.
A lot of money behind them. So it's like Shannon is going to be in a really good spot here, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
I hope to hell he comes to ESPN. And when I say come to ESPN, we're not even at ESPN.
Yeah.
No.
But we're going to be there. And if Shannon Sharpe is to be there, and you start talking about like what a day could look like, that's fucking awesome,
Sure.
AJ.
Yeah.
And I am very excited about it,
I would imagine Shannon already had some things in the works because he
Yeah, for sure.
he stepped away on his own. He reached an agreement, right? Like a mutual agreement to part ways.
Buyout.
So buyout, man. So I want to see these episodes now, though. How many episodes do they have together, knowing that he's
They
going?
were on today. Yeah, it seems like they might have worked themselves into a shoot, brother.
Yeah.
Through the finals. So probably like 2 or 3 weeks. It really just depends on how the series goes.
What was the tipping point? At what stage did it become no, we're not going to be able to do it anymore?
There was a few.
And this is a lot of, obviously, drama talk, but it could directly affect our lives, which I hope happens. Shannon's a weapon.
Yes.
A real talent, and we're happy for him. Good luck out there.
Go get him, Shannon. He's
Good luck out there.
got a podcast too. I think Club Shay Shay.
Shay Shay.
You don't think that thing is massive?
Who takes his spot, though? Who takes that spot?
Anybody can. I mean, anyone can. That's a cog in the machine. As long as you have that, as long as Skip Bayless is there, you can put anybody you want there, and they're going to be fine. You just tell them, hey, say this, take this side of the debate, whatever. Let Skip go. People are going to watch it. Same as, like I was talking about with like Jerry Springer and stuff. No one cares. As long as the structure of the show is there is an audience for that. It's nowhere near as big as it used to be. But as long as there's an audience, use anybody. I mean, that's a plug and play situation.
Nick Wright or Acho?
I'll tell you who I would go get. Cool. Acho would be awful. If I was Fox Sports, I would, and I'm just completely spitballing here, but I would throw the bag, as they say, at JJ Redick. I think JJ Redick has kind of built this. I know he's ESPN affiliated and all that, but he's kind of built this over at least the last 6 months or so. He's kind of built this thing as like the guy who can go debate Stephen A. Smith and whoever else, and he's not afraid to say whatever. And, I've seen all kind of stuff like that. I think bringing him in would be as kind of the guy to really challenge Skip would be big.
Probably.
Oh no, Acho's going in there.
It's gonna be one of those.
See?
Probably.
I guess the problem with JJ Redick is like, can he do all the sports? I don't know about that.
It's probably not.
What if it's shady?
Could be.
Could be shady.
Ocho.
Or
Chad
Schlossky.
Johnson? I don't know about
They
that.
could do revolving like First Take.
I just do Skip.
Probably
yeah.
for a while they will until they figure it out.
I think personally, Shannon could probably do something similar. You know, that Stephen A has going on at First Take,
Yeah.
and just kind of like, hey, who wants to come in and get what at what time?
I think Shannon could pivot into more of like a Michael Strahan career where he does more of like, he kind of leaves that, like the whole debate and all that stuff, and he kind of goes more towards his own stuff. You know, whether it's the podcast or interviews or an analyst desk or a pregame, like he can kind of move around. But that's how I think he'll position his career.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just kind of do that thing. I think that would be a successful show. I think the clips out of that show would be absurd. The
That'd be
moments would be massive. And adding Shannon is just like such a weapon. Hall of Fame. I mean, everything about him is just, now there's been some things I think people would immediately go to, but who doesn't have something?
Exactly. They'll never do it because he's already got his own show in his position. But Cowherd v. Skip would be.
Yeah, they'll never do that. I mean, they'll never ever do that, because then what you don't want to do is take two slots like that and then combine the slots, because then you're not getting anything out of it, right? If it's the same thing, like you're cannibalizing the audience and all that, so you want to maximize the reach over a longer period of time. So having Skip show and then Cowherd show later, like, you don't want to consolidate those slots.
Two guys who just will not relent, are right about everything, don't want to hear what anyone else has to say. Like, that could be pretty good.
That would be like a Fox Super Bowl
Exactly.
every day.
It would be.
They should do that.
Holy hell, because they already got Colin's desk is already ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just add Skips on that other side,
Yep.
and then you put a scoreboard maybe in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You should.
Just let them yell until they're both blue in the face and they pass out.
And then that's how long the show is.
Exactly.
Some days might be an hour and a half. Who knows what's going on the night before?
Yep.
Sure.
And how passionate they are about the subjects. Some days, 8 hours.
Bingo.
Did you hear about Skip and Colin? No. 2 days.
Yeah.
Didn't
Still going.
leave.
Filibuster.
Filibuster. Bring up Jordan LeBron again. Round 7. Ding. Them
Fine.
going at it. That would be amazing. That would be two OGs there.
Yeah. But
But you have to wonder why they would let Shannon out of there and why Shannon wanted out of there.
yeah, I would have.
You don't have to wonder that, because Shannon doesn't like Skip, because Shannon and Skip don't get along. That has to grind on you. I mean, especially for someone like Shannon. I think athletes really dislike the Colin Cowherds and the Skip Baylesses of the world who have never played or never did anything, but they are like these big voices in the space. So for someone like Shannon, it probably is pretty tough to have someone like Skip just screaming at you and degrading you and talking like he knows what's going on when when you know the truth. And I'm not saying Skip doesn't, like he doesn't know what's going on, but I could see where after a while, Shannon's like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Like Shannon, I'm sure, is a special kind of guy. He's an alpha. He's a Hall of Fame NFL player. He's played on some of the toughest, baddest teams out there. You don't do that without being a special kind of person. That kind of person is not going to take kindly to someone like Skip Bayless acting like Skip Bayless for 3 hours a day, every day of the week. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Shannon said, you know what? I've got my own stuff going on. I can easily walk away from this. I'm out.
But he won out. I mean, that's a big deal. It's a big gig, a high-paying gig that's very important, like for the whole media world. For him to walk away, he must have really hated it.
Man, y'all know all the stuff that happened between them.
You gotta like.
Y'all
you
act
gotta
like y'all
who you
don't
work
know what the
with.
hell went on.
What are you talking
What all
about?
was
It was on air.
The tweets, the shit that he put out, like even with
DeMar, right?
Shit happened to him.
He sat
like,
out a day after
Yeah,
DeMar.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very
they
upset
that
about
was
that.
he was really upset, and shit. All the players was really upset. Certain shit you just don't touch, bro. That was kids, women, safety of human beings are off limits when it comes to stuff like that.
Yep, I concur. I mean, that was certainly. I mean, it got like the whole world saw it.
Yeah.
And he didn't take it back either.
No, he didn't.
No,
The whole world tells you, like, hey, bro,
Come on, bro.
can't do this.
I think the Skip and Stephen A was the perfect dynamic because it's two guys from the exact same world. It's kind of like it would kind of like be a professional wrestler and a actual UFC fighter. At some point, the UFC fighter is like, bro, I'm not laying down. I'm not tapping out. I'm not doing this just for the story. But two wrestlers are like, look, this is a story. It's a work. Who cares? Stephen A and Skip were like that, where it's like, who cares what we're saying? Who cares who looks good, who looks bad? Who cares? We're here for the ratings. We understand how it all works. When you pin an athlete in there and they're not from that world, I think that's when you get rocky waters. So it takes someone. I mean, Stephen A. Smith is Skip Bayless. Like, Skip Bayless is Stephen A. Smith. They're the exact same person. They understand the gimmick. They understand what's happening. So to have a long-term Skip Bayless situation, I mean, you'd have to really throw the bag. But if you brought in Chris Russo, if you brought in Mike Francesa, like people like that, they get it. You know, Dan Le Batard, like those guys get it. They understand. They're willing to go along with the dog and pony show for that monies, for them ratings. So if I was Fox Sports, that's the route I would go. If you want to have like a long-term relationship with the show with Skip Bayless, I mean, he might be towards the end. You might just let him do his own thing and have, like, rotate people like they were saying. But
you said a lot of things. We've heard you say a lot of things. LeBron's bad at basketball. We get it.
Mm-hmm.
This one needs you to.
Yeah, life and death.
This one's just like super serious. Like not now. You know. He's like, okay. Well, what do you want me to do? Wait a week? I think is what he.
Yeah.
I think that's what he kind of said in his response was. But that's why Skip Bayless is Skip Bayless. You know what I mean? And anytime Shannon and him were there, it didn't feel like Shannon was ever going to punch him in the face. It didn't feel like there was ever like a disrespect. It felt like it was always a work, which was kind of a part of the whole thing.
Not towards the end.
Whenever it came
Not
out
towards
of nowhere,
the end.
I think a lot of us were surprised. Like, whoa, when? Like 2 weeks? He's out of there. And obviously, I'm excited to see his next chapter. But I thought, to your point, I thought it was a work. I didn't know it was.
I don't think anyone thought it was a work. I mean, if you watched like the clips and the show, and especially around that DeMar Hamlin timeline, I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm naive. LOL. But I didn't think it was a work. I thought you could tell Shannon was not having a good time with that whole thing.
There was
actual tension.
I feel like there was some recently where like Skip was talking about like his playing career and stuff like that and taking shots like that, which seemed
like a month ago, right?
Yeah, that was a month, 2 months ago. It was right around that same time where Skip was taking shots at Shannon. And Shannon is a legitimate. He's not Travis Kelce, like he wasn't that kind of player, but he's a legitimate Hall of Famer bad dude. You know, like you cannot take away what Shannon Sharpe did on the field, for sure.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Yeah.
I
If
missed
you
this
ever
too.
been in the locker room, you ever been in the huddle.
But again,
Skip said Shannon
No,
said
that was
Skip?
Shannon was telling Skip about it.
Man, that must have been right around when the baby was born.
but I assume like Shannon knows that kind. You know, like him and Skip aren't buddy. I think one of the reasons he loved doing that show is because he loved dunking on Skip. It's like, hey, like I'll go toe to toe with this guy, and I guess this stuff had probably been festering for a while, but like I was yesterday when we saw this, like genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, I cannot believe that. Because, I mean, everyone, like, Skip's kind of a pissant. That's the role he plays. That's what he does. Like, and Shannon knows that, so I don't know.
I'm telling you right now, I promise you, like we all think he's a pissant, right? But Skip Bayless is Skip Bayless. He is. If he's rolling up, and you know how much money Skip Bayless has made, you know the reach Skip Bayless has, you know the followers and the audience, and I'm sure the cars he drives and the house he lives in and how he throws his weight around in production meetings and things like that, I guarantee you he ain't a pissant in that world. He's not a pissant in the production meetings and the pre-show meetings and the post-show meetings and all that. He's a big dog. Whatever you think about him, however, you think he's a joke, you think him posting pictures in Jordans or whatever he does every day on Twitter, you think that's a joke, and it very well may be. But same with Howard Stern, same with Colin Cowherd, same with these guys. They may be old guys. They may be just nobodies as physically. They may be pissants, but they ain't. In their world, they're big dogs. And the thing is, in this world, sports media or any kind of media, When you have an athlete or you have somebody coming into that world, you are kind of the inferior. You are the beta. You are the person coming into their realm. No matter what you did in your playing career, you know, you're taking the back seat. And I'm sure that does fester. And I'm sure that you do struggle with that. You know, watching someone, like he said, Shannon probably liked dunking on Skip at the beginning. But then all of a sudden, Skip's dunking on you. Every pre-meeting, every contract negotiation, all that stuff. Every ad deal. And all of a sudden, you're sitting around like, wait a minute, what happened? I'm Shannon Sharpe. How is this guy dunking on me? Welcome to the Thunderdome.
No, it's tough to believe that he ever took something so personal where he'd be like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, and maybe
that's not hard to believe at all.
Down like every day. Like there's more.
Just unhappy.
Imagine people outside. He probably had his buddies and people every time he saw someone outside, like, hey man, you gonna put Skip in his place? Like people probably didn't really understand what kind of gimmick they may have had if they were whatever they're doing arguing. But yeah, I don't know. He had to be worn down.
I'm going to use wrestling again. This happens all the time, where a professional athlete goes into professional wrestling and they have a really hard time laying down for the story, whether that's losing or whatever. They work themselves into a shoot. It's difficult to do that if you're not from that arena. And so, I mean, their shot, I don't watch the show, but just from clips or stuff I've seen on Twitter, I'm not surprised at all that this was a short relationship.
Now, to leave that gig, he's going to be pretty upset.
At a certain point, it's cool with us debating, but when you arguing with a motherfucker and don't enjoy going to work, that is a problem.
Yeah, hell
that's
yeah.
a problem.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Like, we might can argue, but I enjoy fucking coming to this building every day. Like, and we have our debates about
like
a lot
here?
of different. I enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to do that. You either have to be so much of a professional, like Stephen A. Smith. Like we even saw it with Mike Greenberg and Mike Golick. Of whatever it's been 5 years ago. I mean, it's probably been longer than that now. But when they split up and they talked about it, they talked about how they just grew to not like each other. It's impossible to do a show when you don't like the person. You know, you can't fake that every single day. If you do not enjoy talking to somebody, it's really hard to talk to them for 3 hours a day every single day. I mean, it just is. So in that debate situation, you got to have a relationship. And whenever that relationship sours, we've seen it in the past, the show ends immediately. I just brought up Golick and Greeny. I brought up Francesa and Russo. The second that light switch goes off, the magic's over. Let me know in the comments below what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Are you surprised that Shannon Sharpe left? What do you think about the landscape of sports media? What do you think about all that stuff right now? Where do you come down on this? Who would you want to see be the next person to go in there and debate Skip Bayless? But besides me, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Could you imagine if they let me unleashed on Skip Bayless every day? I think that would be a short relationship as well. I think I would drag him around the arena. I mean, 100%. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.